Hello everyone, and welcome to the finale of Black Dahlia. Who would have thought that underneath Al King's house, all of this was being constructed? Excavated? I don't want to look in here, but I know I have to. Yep. Now there's Al King's head, among the rest of them. Like with all the other rituals, there has to be 8 sacrifices before the knight shows up. Let's go deeper in.
Jim, help me.
Why would Alice be hanging, of all things? I wouldn't think that the 9th victim would need to be hanging in order for that person to have their soul transferred in the ritual. But we can't leave her there. Let's get her down.
Alice, you all right?
I'll be okay. Hurry and tie me. You made it just in time. I don't think I could have lasted much longer. Oh, there. That's better. Thanks, Jimbo.
I knew I could count on you, sport. Oh, Jimbo. If I fool you once, shame on me. If I fool you twice, shame on you. Ah, there you are, Alice. Oh, be a dear and cut these for me. Alice, no. Alice, what are you doing? What have you done to her? There's a girl. Oh, she did so play you for a fool. Oh, you son of a bitch. I'll kill you. Whoa. Don't forget to say goodbye to Jimbo, dear.
Yes, Dick.
Come on, Alice. You don't know what you're doing. You don't want to do this. You don't want to let him get away with this. Give me the gun.
How are you, Jim? Did you get your man, Jim?
Stop it.
Be sure and look me up, Jim.
No! Oh, Alice. No. Jimbo! You're late, sport. But then, you never could keep up with me, could you?
Go to hell, Dick.
Such language! Didn't your mother teach you any manners? Ah, well, no matter. Now that you've come to bear witness, we can begin. 3 vessels are there committed in. A skull, of an Atheling, a vizier and skald of great renown, who had drunk from Mimir's fountain. Gable and Zeus dages manes afal. A cup of ashwood, cut from the root of the world tree, to hold the quaff of wisdom. Gable and Zeus dages manes afal. Suffer one night for each covenant, and await the bearer of the brand. Share Mimir's quaff with his skald. Cast out the soft and sightless side. Gable and Zeus, dages manes afalo! Which will convey the sacred soul. Watch the witness face his doom. Thus is the great god now usurped, and fool become his tomb.
There are 3 endings to this game. The first one is involving just standing around for a couple seconds. Not sure what to do.
You always were one step behind, Jimbo. Now I'm afraid it's led to your undoing. Bye, old sport.
I've just received word. President-elect Pearson is taking the podium.
The second is, the same as what he just did.
Thanks, Jimbo. Once again, you do me a service. You never were. Look on the uptake. Worried.
I've just received word. President-elect Pearson is taking the podium.
But we all know that that gem has brought nothing but evil.
It's over, Dick.
No! No! You've no idea what you've done! No!
Sam, looks like we found another one over here.
Well, well. Looky what we got here, John.
Detective.
I'll just bet you got another story for me.
You'd never believe me. Not in a million years. You'll go back to your own little world, never suspecting what might have been, but I'll know. And I'll take to my grave, certain that I did what was right.
I'm going to enjoy sending you to the chair. Take him away.
I mean, I didn't know that anybody was after him. I never knew. All he told me was that I was supposed to be in the studio tomorrow. No, what am I gonna do? I don't know where to go.
Black Dahlia. What do you suppose that means?
I don't know. Guy's a nutcase. Came to Detective Maxwell with some crazy story. Said the short girl was going to get it because of the Black Dahlia.
Black Dahlia. Jesus. Press is gonna have a field day with that one.
And so with that, Black Dahlia draws to a close. No credits or anything either. Which leads me with my final thoughts with the game. Let's just say I've really questioned Alice's character from the beginning about whether or not she was really in it with Winslow or not, of whether she was manipulated from the very beginning to just kind of help us coax along our ability to investigate, much like Winslow did in the very last disc. Or she was kind of her own free will and helping until the very end, until Winslow realized that she was a connection to Pearson, and then toyed around with her. At first I didn't like the whole fact that he had to get branded a second time, Pearson. The fact that he had to be branded with a new mark that was separate and kind of unknown to everything else. It wasn't like Eisenstadt's branding at the beginning of Disc 3 in the Dream. But I guess because Eisenstadt chose him as the ninth victim for his ritual did not mean the same thing as Winslow choosing Pearson as the ninth victim for his ritual. Black Dahlia is certainly a very unique game that suffers from kind of the same problem that Ripper did for the very end of the game. I felt that with Ripper and Black Dahlia that their endings were very rushed. Especially with Black Dahlia being as long as it is 8 discs long, and I can't think of another game of the time that was spread that far onto 8 CDs that all were for one game. And I feel that that does more of a disservice for the game than it does for, like, really cool. It's really cool that it's on 8 discs, but it suffers on the length department and definitely doesn't focus as much as I thought it was going to. Especially with how long you spend in Cleveland versus everywhere else. I want to say that Black Dahlia was going to be, like, all in Cleveland and not all over the place that much, but then at the same time had to be inspired by the Elizabeth Short murder that actually happened in real life. This is what it was inspired by. It also leaves a lot of unanswered questions as well in terms of like what the Dahlia could do. There wasn't a lot of rules defined for the Dahlia, including like the dream world at the very end about being able to get to it when you're actually like real and not in a trance. Maybe I shouldn't look into it very closely like I'm trying to do, because I'm not going to get anywhere with it, but it just kind of bothers me in that case. I certainly enjoy the game. It is a fun ride, definitely because it has some of the more complex puzzles to an adventure game that I have honestly played, and I appreciate it for that, especially with the amount of notes that I had to keep in order to understand what was going on everywhere. And I was glad to be able to like even begin to explain how the thought process behind it worked. That was a really fun part of me being able to do this, on top of it just being like a murder mystery that was kind of entrenched in so many different areas, including just like ancient pagan rituals to an unsolved murder at the very end of it. The only thing I can say is that the ending to the game is rather somber compared to any other game that I've played. Pearson's probably gonna go to the chair. And he has said that he was fine with that. He did what was right. Probably nobody was going to be looking at that projector which showed Winslow murdering Al King, you know, because that would be some great evidence to support Pearson being innocent, but nobody lives happily ever after in this case. Not Elizabeth Short, not Pearson, not Alice. And the other thing with the long gaps in information between each of the discs, the premonition that Pearson saw all the way back in the Hotel Cleveland of him with an eye patch. Other than that point, and then the bad ending, there's nothing in between that in order to keep that going. I feel there was a lot of missed space, or empty space, that could have been filled with a little bit more to keep those kind of themes going. So I'm glad that it was kind of touched on a little bit, but there's a lot of stuff that just kind of fell off by the wayside. Fighting it back against Eisenstadt in the dream sequence, because he was just kind of axed off by Winslow and all of that. But yeah, there's a lot to pick apart with Black Dahlia. And especially like with the case of like even Ripper, there's a lot to pick apart there, because it's definitely a silly future sci-fi area there. But Black Dahlia trying to be a little bit more grounded. I say trying to be grounded. I don't think it's grounded at all. In a lot of cases, being attached to rituals and everything about that. And with that, that is all for Black Dahlia. Hope you enjoyed. And I hope you stick around, because I hopefully will have my next project out pretty soon after this. So look forward to that. It's going to be a lot more colorful and upbeat compared to this. Take care, everyone.